Rampage.
Hey everyone, welcome back for a brand new video about the series that's slowly but surely rising from its shallow grave, The Walking Dead.
It's not what it seems, please.
Warning, beyond this point there are spoilers for people who are not up to date on The Walking Dead television series and the comic books. Rick Grimes' final episode this past Sunday was one of the most anticipated television events in recent history, and for most viewers it left them in shock and awe. In this video, we're going to recap this gigantic, star-studded episode, but first we'd like to talk about the bombshell that everyone's favorite former showrunner dropped on us during The Talking Dead after Rick's last episode. Andrew Lincoln will in fact star in at least 3 feature-length movies that will all be released on AMC over the next few years. Currently, Gimple is writing the script for the first one, and production is expected to begin sometime in early 2019. AMC has stated these movies will cover where Rick was taken and what he faces in the new corner of the zombie apocalypse. On top of these upcoming Rick-centric films, Gimple also explained that new TV shows, specials, and high-quality digital content are also in the pipeline.
Claim!
We know that although the show has started to get better, nobody trusts Gimple. But the news of another series and other content in the Walking Dead universe is really exciting to us. Now let's focus on the episode everyone has been talking about, Rick Grimes' last episode. We feel although there were some unrealistic parts, this send-off was done extremely well. The episode starts with Rick hallucinating that he's in a skyscraper with a younger version of himself that's still in a hospital bed. After a little helicopter foreshadowing, Rick finally wakes up, and in some brutal footage we covered in our previous video, we see exactly how he gets off of that rebar rod and barely escapes the multiple herds of zombies closing in on him. No thanks to his horse. Next we get a little clue about a mystery that's had at least some fans guessing for seasons: where Heath went. Jadis is seen driving Heath's RV, which leads us to the logical conclusion that she traded Heath to the helicopter community. Jadis says that she has an A for the enigmatic group, but it's obvious to us that she's lying and desperately trying to escape. Here we see a barely conscious Rick leading the herd towards the bridge, and yet another horse fail. We really hope this horse got retired after this poor outing. Rick starts to hallucinate, and we see more of that through the rest of the episode as he encounters former dead survivors along the way during his many visions.
How?
They gave us the strength.
The scene with Herschel was especially touching, and seeing Scott Wilson's final performance really meant so much and gave this scene an entire episode a lot of weight. Back in the real world, we see Michonne and Judith's family time interrupted as she finds out Maggie has shown up and instantly knows that she's there to kill Negan. Maggie and Michonne have a heated conversation that we already saw in the sneak peek, but in a surprising turn of events, Maggie lawyered the lawyer and convinced Michonne to let her in to execute Negan. Maggie's scene with Negan was powerful, and we saw a broken, sad man beg to be killed.
Get on your knees.
But Maggie wasn't having it. She realized letting him live was the worst punishment and ordered him back into his cell. We believe Negan will eventually escape, but what kind of Negan will we see when he does have his freedom?
I'm sorry that you lost all you had.
The Alexandrians are then notified of the Savior attack at the camp, and everyone heads out for the bridge and Rick's endgame. We'd like to point out we never got to see how the fight with the Saviors played out, which we feel could have easily been done, but we understand that no episode is perfect. Rick finally makes it to the camp to find a big surprise: even more walkers. Then his horse decides to hightail it out of here. Geez, this horse really sucks. He stumbles his way towards the bridge and has another vision of the survivors rushing to the rescue. We really believe this clip was not a hallucination, but we were wrong. Rick has a pseudo-goodbye with Michonne, as unfortunately they don't get a real farewell, but this scene was still heartwarming and sad at the same time, as she motivates Rick to wake up yet again and fight just a little bit longer. Just as it looks like Rick will be overtaken by walkers, Daryl saves his brother's life one last time with one of his arrows. This moment is really strong as the team forgets about all of their disagreements and band together to try to save the man who saved them so many times in the past. Unfortunately, it's too little too late, as Rick has already decided the only way to save everyone is to destroy the bridge. In a selfless gesture, he tries to tell them to stop and not to do it for him, and then notices a case of dynamite that fell, most likely from when Rosita was setting off charges in episode 2.
Fire in the hole!
Rick draws his Colt Python one last time. Michonne lets out a blood-curdling cry right before Rick says his last words on this show.
I found him.
Meaning his family. Meaning all of the survivors are his family. Rick really goes out with a bang as the bridge falls and hundreds of burning walkers go down with it into the raging currents. The survivors look on in horror as the symbolic bridge is burned. Daryl takes it especially hard and leaves the group to go off on his own, which we'll cover more later. Many people thought this scene meant Rick died and went right to our comment section to let us know how wrong we were. But after the commercial break, we were given new hope as we saw Jadis make her shady rendezvous with the helicopter. But then she saw Rick washed up on the riverbank and let the chopper know of her sneaky plan and begged them to save Rick, who she called a B. We still don't know what A's and B's mean and believe that it's not just alphas and betas, but we probably won't get an answer to that question until we see Rick again. The helicopter team shows mercy to Jadis and helps Rick, telling us that they might not be bad guys after all. A lot of fans are happy that Rick Grimes is still breathing, but even out of those fans, many feel manipulated by yet another dumpster gate orchestrated by Gimple so he can start his new pet project. We feel this whole event was in poor taste, but we're still glad Rick didn't kick the bucket. Regarding the sudden plot twist on The Talking Dead, Lincoln said, "It's not the beginning of the end, it's the end of the beginning." And I like the idea that we get to tell a bigger story, maybe with a sort of wider vista. What could this mean? Lincoln would go on to say, "I've always been interested in what's going on out there. You know, whether or not there is contact with the wider world. Where could he possibly be going? What is the wider world? Europe? We are leaning towards the Commonwealth, a highly organized society from the comic books, but how closely they could resemble their upcoming film counterparts is yet to be determined." In the last scene of the episode, we saw the second time jump of 6 years take place and were introduced to Magna and her group, who were hurt and surrounded by walkers, when the second huge surprise of the episode hit us in the form of a young Judith Grimes, wielding a Colt Python and katana sword, killing walkers and saving lives, just like her father. And we know that Shane is her biological, but she is now clearly Rick's daughter. When she put Carl's hat on, the entire team here erupted into a frenzy, as this was one of the most badass moments of the episode. The question now is, where do we go from here? We understand many fans are angry at yet another manipulative trick by the sneakiest guy in TV, Scott Gimple. But we want to point out that even though the Gimp is pulling the strings in the entire Walking Dead universe, Angela Kang has still managed to make the show improve, and we believe it will continue to improve as the coming Whisperers are going to be terrifying and help pave the way into unprecedented territory on the show. Thanks so much for watching our videos, everyone. As always, we're on the lookout for insider info to help prove or disprove our theories and to come up with newer and better ones. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Follow us on Instagram at Binge Rampage. Turn on the notifications button for our channel so you can see our next video as soon as it comes out. And don't forget to subscribe.